an Elliott Wave person that Elliott Wave by itself is enough for me from pattern recognition. But if I want to connect some other exhaustion signals to it to make it more robust on exhaustion to try and catch turns, if I want to have momentum components to identify when it's truly impulsive, I created an algorithm and in projects, and that is sitting in there. And all I have to do is take a snapshot of any chart that I see in Bloomberg, and I paste it in there, and it does, and it gives me a score on it between 1 and 100. So I have found that for certain things like that in ChatGPT, the projects thing works better than Perplexity. What Perplexity for me has done far better, and this actually started at your conference in Miami, believe it or not. It was the first time I did this. When an earnings report comes out, I find their transcript work is far better than any of them. The transcript thing is the key component for me. That is where all the ideas are coming from, because right now, for someone in the markets, but now having the ability of looking at what's been coming out recently, connect it I use deep research constantly to create reports for me of ideas that I want. And I remember I was at a hedge fund. You'll appreciate this. So I went to go do a demo. They had a firewall up. Their employees could not use any of the LLMs. They had an aggregator software, which gave them access to some of the older models all within there, but they didn't have access to the tools, the projects, all the things that enable you to do things with it that, make your life better. But the reason this was important is because as I was sitting there and I was doing a demo for them and I showed how much, one of them said, oh, I wanted to go through the SLR change and I wanted to see and then I started conversing. I want it to be another 3 paragraphs. Give me some ideas on how I could continue from here and expand it based on things that I've talked about over the last month. And that's where this stuff goes, is that every idea that I come up with, everything I put into ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is the model that I use for brainstorming. It's the model I use for building things. Perplexity's for finance. Gemini is actually a backup check at this point. I'm about to integrate it and do some stuff with Gmail. And then I use Notebook in a similar way that you said, but you certainly can do that without a problem. You can have it trained on whatever you want. I call them knowledge brains and they're phenomenal to have, but I did that a long time ago. Now everything I write starts in there. So it has access to all my information. Hard time envisioning how that job turns into a growth plan, that they're not going to at some point be disrupted. It's more of a psychological labor kind of problem. And I think that's what's starting to happen at a very fast pace. Now, the good side is for people like you and me who are entrepreneurs who are not scared of anything and we just move to the left and go, oh, AI is great. I can build a business. I can build an app. I can do what I want. I think there's not a lot of people. That's not everyone. And so when Peter Thiel talks about a hollowing out of the middle class, it is happening. And so I think we're in that stage, the worst stage, where the companies, the shareholder side of the United States in particular, realizes that they can get more profit margins by not hiring people have outside of January. And the reason I say outside of January, just pick the month where we started to see no more jobs in government. So government jobs are 0. X healthcare and X leisure and travel, which to me are government subsidized through Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security and baby boomers. You have 33,000 jobs a month so far. That's where we are right now on average for this. You know, you're going to get revisions, which are going to be downward, which will be more than that. So X healthcare and X travel and leisure, you're already
Those are
talking
all baby boomer things, right? They're all
exactly
demographics.
And the government subsidizes them through Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, those revenues are going to grow. So this is where if you want a job and you're not going to school to be a nurse, realizing the world is interconnected, and if you shut off and you attack China, then China says, well, good, we have rare earth. That means you're going to be at a military disadvantage. You're going to be at a technology disadvantage. You're not going to be in a position. You guys made this decision. So the only alternative to me is to continue the debasement and try to force nominal GDP above rates and make a bet that inflation's not going to pick up. You and I, have talked a lot. I think we differed to some degree on inflation for this year. You've been right so far. And now I've kind of jumped back into the part about how I think when the middle person in the country is having a hard time. And that's the way I view it. Inflation is based, in my opinion, on the middle person. If demand isn't good enough, where if they spend money on an expensive dinner, it's just lost. And so I do think crypto falls into that. I do think needing real-time information, real-time pricing, doing things when you want, it all fits in with a faster world and settlements of money, everything. So I do think it's a representation that the world is getting faster and that matches AI. But I also think it gets into the boredom and the anger that people are having towards not being able to enjoy their lives the way they would want.
And when you look at the crypto landscape in terms of the adoption now of what we're seeing, all of these corporate treasuries, what does it mean to you?
So I think this year and really the last, I want to say 18 months has been about accepting, meaning you have to be building something, and oil has always been, it's that macro piece that offsets and is out of control of monetary policy and fiscal policy. You need power. That is the thing that needs to fuel it. And AI consumes an enormous amount of power. And we are going to start to see, well, it's ironic I say this to someone in Spain, but we're going to start to see important blackouts. And there's going to be more of them, in the US. And I think they're coming very, very soon because I don't think people have looked at the exponential move. And this fits into the alt season side to me. So I believe we are going to see a change in the business cycle. I just don't think they exist in the push button way that they did, where you do something in the economy and it goes. But I do think it's coming this year because of what's going to be needed for the infrastructure build out, perform software. And that's what's necessary. And I think that's what started.
At first, like many of us, trying to get our heads around what was happening with the amount of capex expenditure by OpenAI, Meta and Google and Microsoft, it was like, okay, this is going to be a capex cycle. They'll have overordered and then we'll have the downside. And then I was in Abu Dhabi and I realized, oh, all the state players are involved too. I'm like, there is no end to demand in semiconductors. There is no end to demand. And then Elon's like, we need 1 trillion things. And then somebody else says, we need 1 quadrillion data set. It's like, okay, this is, we've just seen, Facebook saying, oh, it's going to do a debt offering for like $23 billion to build more stuff. And it's not going to stop because
it's just not that simple to go. The solution and the cost will get there and we'll come up with the problems because AGI will speed up us solving these things and finding better ways to do it. But the actual physical part, we're running into a problem with the physical part. So in the next 5 years, we know we're going to have massive advancements. Human beings are not prepared for this in any way, shape, or form. If they're scared right now of their jobs, what are they going to do when there's humanoids walking down the street? And it's not like a gimmick, but it's actually happening. When Waymos run into New York, do you really think they're not going to be set on fire? Do you really think we saw protests around Uber? So I think the problem is for the next 25 years, this is this kind of really bad place where I think the jobs problem with software companies is that they're able to scale without needing capital. They're able to scale very, very quickly. And so you don't actually get the chance to invest in them and they don't need the capital and they don't want to give up ownership. The physical world still takes capital to build things. So hardware still needs investment. It still needs the dollars. So this gets back into the rise of software. I really do believe the software world, anything built on code is now ubiquitous, as you said. And so any company is now they're going to have competition. And that goes for Google. That goes for all of these companies. If they don't find a way to keep their business lines alive, we've obviously seen it with Google search. It's not that they're going to go out of business. It's not that they're going to go, but I think the days of their revenue, of their earnings growing again as a bridge to AI. So I still think the GLP-1s at this point, they'll get easier to take, obviously with pills. They'll get easier in terms of the side effects to go through it. As we can do more predictive analytics and we can match up which one is a better version for particular DNA, that'll be there. But these are just bridge drugs to me. So if I had to guess, again, for the next 3 to 4 years, everything is fine. But as it is with all companies, at some point when you get past the 5-year mark, and this is a take we haven't talked about, I'm really, really negative on long duration assets. I think it is a very, very difficult world to forecast what anything is going to look like 5 years from now. And I think long duration assets are talking about things. And they said, so this isn't helicopter money. This is helicopter intelligence. And I went, yeah, we're dropping intelligence around the globe. And for anyone to think that their business is safe, their job is safe, anything is safe, when the cost of intelligence has just gone to whoever is using AI today has a huge advantage over people that are not. I don't know if you've found this out, because I remember when we did an interview and I remember I had said to you something about AI and you asked me a question about how much I was using it, how I was using it for papers, how it was going on. And that was not too long after ChatGPT.
No, that was early days, yeah.
You and I have really integrated this into our lives in a major way. But the majority of the people that I know in life have not. They
like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support. Enjoy the video.